Well, thanks for coming on, Rick. Like, this is an absolute pleasure to have you on, man. So
my pleasure, man. How long have you been doing the podcast for?
kind of on and off. I started it like 2021 is when I kind of started to mess around with it. And,
Good.
I kind of took a pause. It was like, a job switch, and then, life just got crazy. So just kind of getting back into it. And
sure.
I was lucky enough to have George on, which was great.
Good.
Yeah.
George is awesome. Oh, that's great.
Oh, yeah. Of course, George, George has nothing but good things to say about you.
George I was supposed to do his podcast on Tuesday morning, but something's come up for me. And I said, George, can you push it back a little later on that day? He's flying back to LA that same afternoon. So we'll get together one of these days. George is so busy. He's got a lot going on.
Yeah, understandable. I'm assuming, just with you too, you must be.
I got some stuff going on too. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I feel busier these days than I've ever been. But yeah,
aren't you in the midst of like the Taylor Swift thing right now?
We are. Her last show is tonight in Toronto. Yeah.
How's that been?
It's been Taylor mania we've been giving out tickets since the summertime, I think. It's been crazy. Yeah. Rogers, the company I work for, is the presenting sponsor of the show. So it's been kind of crazy, but a good crazy. Like we're living through this phenomenon of Taylor Swift, and it's really cool to witness it all.
Yeah, no doubt. Like, it's just so insane. Like, how long she's been on tour now? Like, it's been a long time.
Since last March. Yeah, March 17th, I think, of 2023.
Yeah, and it's wild.
Yeah, it's like close to 20 months ago.
Yeah, pretty much.
She's done a world tour. Yeah.
Oh, good for her. Yeah.
Yeah.
And, I'm curious to know a bit more with you, man. Like,
yeah.
I grew up watching you on Much.
Oh,
and,
thanks.
You're my favorite DJ.
The good
hands down.
Thank you, man. Thank you, man. Well, we had a lot of fun back then. We had a ton of fun.
For sure. I miss those days, man. I miss coming home from school and just putting on Much on Demand and stuff.
Yeah, there was not much else going on except your homework from school. But we always, if you were like me, we put the homework aside, watched Much Music to see what the latest videos were, and then we got to the homework later that night. But yeah, it was a magical time. It was back then. There's so much in our world these days. It's not as simple as it was back in the 90s and early 2000s.
That's true. And I feel like you'd probably agree. Like, I know George was saying, I think the thing he looks fondly of with that was just the community, all you guys, how you were with each other.
That was fun. It was a family. We were really good friends. And then we invited, our extended family into Much Music, into the environment when their favorite bands came around. So yeah, it was a community. That's for sure. It was all love in Much Music for the 11 years that I was there anyway.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And I was kind of checking some stuff out because I know, you're known as Rick the Temp, obviously. Just with the Much Temp thing. You can't. I was going to say, you probably still get called that to this day.
Yeah. I don't mind it. There are worse handles out there, Brandon. Yeah.
Yeah, because obviously I never witnessed that, but how was that experience on that contest?
Well, I had entered the contest for the first time back in 1993 when they first had the contest.
Was that the first one?
The very first one was 93. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I think it was aligning with the Paramount movie that came out of the same name, The Temp. So they were doing promotion around it. So I entered that year, didn't win. I thought to myself, you know what? I got to really catch their eye with my entry. So I entered it the following year, 94, and spent 2 weeks making my entry, and it caught their eye. They liked it. And they invited me into the Much environment for the summer of 94. And I just happened to parlay that summer into a full-time job, because I really didn't want to leave that place after first stepping foot into it. And I just kept doing anything that they would ask of me. And this is all behind the scenes stuff, right? So, and then when that opportunity came to, go in front of the camera. I think I was ready for it. It took me a while to get comfortable in front of the camera because I'm a phys ed grad. I was going to be a teacher, but I was like uncomfortable for like the first year or two at least. And, you gotta spend all that time in front of the camera to get more comfortable and more confident, with your delivery and approach. And I think it came along after a little while. It was intimidating at first being on nationwide TV, that's for sure.
I can imagine. And I was going to bring that up too, because so you graduated like physical education.
Yes.
So how do you go from that to like taking that switch over there?
Well, I was always big into music. Music was always on in our house as kids growing up. I've got, 4 older siblings, and my parents, they were all listening to music all the time, whether it was the Stones or the Beatles or the Who or Bowie or whatever it was, Sinatra, Dean Martin. There was always music on at home when we got into the car. So I loved music. And you gotta pick a career, you gotta pick a profession. And since all my older siblings were teachers, I thought, okay, I'm gonna go into that line. But at the same time, loving music, entering contests, and the contest that I entered, it just so happened to be for the rest of my life.
Nice.
Yeah.
Did you ever kind of do any performance stuff beforehand, like any acting, been in a band, stuff like that?
No, I had auditioned to be in my high school band. I think I was in the band for like a week, and then they got rid of me because I couldn't hit those high Bono Vox lyrics notes on some of our YouTube songs or cover songs. But I tried that. That was fun. I bought a guitar when I was in grade 9. Gave that up soon after because I couldn't get my wrist around the neck of the guitar. I felt like my hands were too small for that. So then I took up drums. I started drumming in my parents' attic. But nothing ever stuck. I wasn't a performer. I wasn't musically inclined in terms of, playing my own instrument, but I loved music and I loved talking about music and I loved watching music videos and, all the above. So yeah, you didn't really need to be the performer of music as long as you knew and you were knowledgeable of music. I think that's what helped me,
Yeah.
And I think Denise saw that, and I think all the other producers saw that because my thumb was on the pulse back in the day. Not so much these days, but back in the day, my thumb was on the pulse of what was going on in music, not just locally, but on a global scale. So yeah, I just loved it. Still love it, but I was deep into it. Back then in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah, for sure. Because I guess I don't know. I guess you could say it's kind of kept, especially there's so much new music now. It's insane.
It's so hard to keep your thumb on the pulse of what's going on in terms of new music and independent artists. And there's too much.
Especially with streaming, right? Like streaming, you just discover so many bands or artists.
There's
it's
so
insane.
many artists to get introduced to. I think George, his thumb is probably still on the pulse of what's going on. But
I think, he seems like he would know or just understand. But even me, I remember, you'd go to HMV, get your CDs, or you'd watch Much Music. That's how you discovered artists. But now it's like they just pop on your Spotify or Apple Music now.
Exactly. It's simple, which is great. But I love the challenge. I love the, putting a little work, a little effort into, exploring and finding out about bands. And there was something special about that, going into a record store, and reading the liner notes and seeing the pictures. And I guess you could still do that these days. I'm sure vinyl's coming back in a big way.
That's true.
It's everywhere in all record stores that I walk into these days, which is cool to see. But it's just different time. It's just we're getting bombarded with artists, which is great. Like there's so many talented people in this world, and why not? More power to them. I could never afford to buy every artist's album, or there's too many. There's too many, But it's a good thing. It's a good problem that we're dealing with? Like the overwhelming number of artists out there these days?
Yeah, even because like it's the band's kind of not a whole big thing right now, but I remember growing up, being in a band, and I loved the promotion of like, we're going to put posters up for a show and all this, but now it's just social media. That's it.
It's social media is your poster. Yeah.
Well, I enjoyed the hard work of just doing that though.
There's something special about, you putting in that hard work, and then you do a gig, you see all those happy faces in the crowd singing along. Like there's something magical about that. And I'm sure artists still experience that to this day, but it just felt like back in the day, getting in that van, traveling from city to city, doing your thing, hitting the pavement, not knowing who's going to show up the next night at your shows, I miss it. I remember when I first moved to Toronto from Hamilton in the summer of '94. Toronto was this big city. Bands would always come to Toronto. Every band from all over the world, and I loved seeing live music, live shows. I would go see a show every night. It was that. That was what was happening in Toronto in the mid 90s, early to mid 90s when I first moved there. So it was great to see that, a different band in a different genre every night. Like it was the coolest.
Yeah, no doubt. And what's
not much anymore because I got kids now, but
yeah, exactly.
Time.
It is. And I'm curious to know too, because, just seeing you, I've always wondered, like, what is your kind of go-to band or artist or music type of genre? Like, what is your go-to?
I'm getting more and more into the veterans. I just saw Springsteen a couple of weeks ago in Toronto, and I love Springsteen. I've seen him a few times already. He's like mid 70s, but he's still putting on a rockin' show for 3 hours. And
that's
so
crazy.
Springsteen would be one. Billy Joel would be one that I would travel hours to see. But I'm still into I still love, the Chili Peppers and the Killers and those types of bands, Pearl Jam. Every time those bands come to town, I'll buy a ticket for sure. But I like everything these days. I listen to jazz. I listen to pop. I'm on CHFI, which is more of like an adult contemporary AC music station. All the old familiar songs that we're used to. I listen to it all. I really do. And I love it all.
Oh, that's good, man. Yeah. It's good to kind of just know everything.
Yeah. Well, I can't ever know everything. Like maybe George knows everything about every band, but I think I'm picking and choosing a little bit more these days. Back in the day, I was open to most everything, but now there's just too much music, like we were saying, to go around. Like, I don't have the time for all of it, but I do love being introduced to new artists. I really do. Like, and even with Taylor Swift, we were talking about, like, I've gotten more and more respect for her as an artist. She's just a super talent, and look what she's doing, like around the world. Like, it's unbelievable. Yeah. This tour has become the highest grossing tour of all time, like surpassing the Eagles and Springsteen and the Beatles and all these bands. But it is insane to see what she's doing. And I'm a fan. I've become a fan of hers. You'll see me making the boys breakfast in the morning, listening to some Taylor Swift. Why not? Yeah.
I'm not ashamed of that.
Yeah.
And isn't it funny too, like when you have kids, because obviously they grow up listening to your stuff, but then they kind of start to find their own thing that they enjoy?
Yeah, it's so true. That happened with my first son, Noah, as well. He's 19 now, but he was always introducing me to these new artists. Like, he got me onto Post Malone like years ago, 21 Savage, all these artists that I'm thinking like, okay, who Noah? But he's introducing me to them. And then, I'm a big Eminem fan and Jay-Z. Now my little guys, my 10 and 8-year-old, they love Eminem. They love what he's all about. Like,
nice.
They play this game, and Eminem's got a skin on it that you can purchase, and you can be Eminem. It's so cool. But it's
wild,
awesome to see that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so insane. And then I'm curious to know, like, So what happened with that transition when you left Much? Like, what happened there? Did you kind of, were you like, you know what, it's time to do something different?
Well, yeah, I was getting older, and I had my first child, and you can't be a VJ and have kids. It's just it's not in the playbook. So, and it was changing at the time as well, Brandon. Like it really, to me, in my heart, it wasn't the nation's music station anymore. It was more about reality TV or pop culture television and less about the music for me.
That's true.
For a number of us back in the day. So I just thought, I did my time. I had a lot of great times, good years. It's just time to move on. And it was the same time as this entertainment news program show was starting up in Toronto, and which was ET. And I just made the switch, but it was a smooth transition. I remember doing my first interview with ET with Alicia Keys. I was still under contract with Much Music. It was the last couple of days of my contract, and they wanted to start getting interviews in. So I started, but it was a smooth transition. The weird part was, wearing suits every day.
I guess, that was
on that studio at ET Canada. Like at Much, I'm wearing the hat to the side, just baggy
casual.
Pants. Yeah. Very cash, but that was the trickiest transition part for me, the wardrobe.
Yeah, for sure.
But it was cool. Like I still got to talk to bands and artists, and now I'm talking to actors, and it was really cool, actually.
Yeah, it would have been a cool experience for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I thought you did a great, you just do a good job at whatever the heck you do. So.
Oh, thank you, man. No, I put all my heart into it. I really do. I do want to entertain people and keep them interested in what we're doing, what I'm saying. And I just, my approach is like just to have fun with whatever I'm doing. Like it's all about putting smiles on faces and having fun with everything. And that's been my approach since day one. I'm not the serious news guy. I don't think I could ever do the serious news thing. But just having fun and keeping things light and putting smiles on faces is my approach.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's great. And I'm curious. So you said you grew up with 3 older siblings.
Yeah.
So how was that being like the little, like the small one out of a bunch? Like
yeah, up like I was the runt of the litter, so to speak. No, like there was a lot of love in our household. There was, but I think when I came along, my parents weren't as they weren't as. Like they cared for what I was doing, of course, but it's like Rick, he's the 4th. They let me stay up late. They let me.
Oh, yeah, it's kind of, you start to be like, let him do whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Because I'm sure my oldest brother Lorenzo didn't have that same because he was the 1st. But by the time the 4th comes around, we got this. Another kid, we got this, no problem. But it was a great upbringing. Like my older siblings and my parents taught me so much. They taught me right from wrong. And they're all my role models. Those are my role models, my family members. Because if it wasn't for them teaching me the proper way to do things, who knows how I would have ended up. But they were always on me to do the right thing, to be the right person, and I thank them for that every day. I really do.
Yeah, for sure. And I wanted to ask this question just because you seem like just the best guy. Like growing up, like, yeah. Did you ever get into trouble?
No, I was a shy kid. I was a really shy kid. Up until the age of around 9 or 10, I was always hiding behind my mom. I didn't really come out of my shell until like high school years, university years. Did I get in trouble? No, I was an altar boy from grade 3 until I went to university. So,
you just like,
if you're an altar boy, you got to be a good kid. You got to be, you can't be a bad kid.
True enough. Yeah.
But no, like, listen, I think once I made the move to Toronto, the big city, more going on, there's the bad that comes with the good, and there's good that comes with the bad. And, but you always try to steer on that side of doing good. Every day. I'm trying to think of the bad things that I would have done, but I'll say those for my book.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. God, you do a book, I'm buying it for sure.
I do have some stories.
Oh yeah. Oh, there's
not all good. Yeah, there is some bad there. Then now that I'm thinking about it, yeah.
This is but that didn't
come until later in life.
Yeah, of course. This is a great segue because George asked. He told me to ask you. He's like, I don't know if Rick can say it, but ask him anyway. I was like, okay. He's like, ask Rick about the punk show in Las Vegas.
Yeah, that's right.
Can you explain?
Yeah. Well, George was in Los Angeles doing a show, and I was in LA doing a show with two different projects, I believe, because we met in Los Angeles. And he said, let's go to Las Vegas. Let's drive to Las Vegas. It'll take 5 hours. We'll do a show along the way with his producer, who was producing the punk show, I guess. I knew him as well. And I guess he took out a little camera and we just started filming our journey along the desert highway from LA to Las Vegas. And once we got to Las Vegas, I don't remember seeing George ever again. No, no. I think because I think his buddies were there. I think my buddies were there. But no, it was a ton of fun. I do remember getting together with him because we had to make the drive all the way back to LA to catch our flight. I do remember getting together with him within that morning to do a quick shoot for the show. But yeah, that was a fun. See, we got away with doing stuff like that back in the day. It was George, myself, a producer, and we thought, let's do this. It'll be fun. It'll be so unique and different. And look, we're still talking about it to this day.
True
but
enough,
it was a ton of fun doing a road trip with George. It really was. We gotta do part two. We gotta do part two to that. Next time I see him, I gotta ask him, George, let's do a part two to that punk show in Vegas. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
That'd be fun.
Yeah.
That was like more than 20 years ago we did that.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Man. And that makes me and that makes me ask this question because everyone's going to be wondering it. What do you do, man? Like you still look the same age. Like what's your damn secret?
Thank you. Wow.
Like seriously.
I got all these wrinkles on my face and dude, I'm slowing right down. My body is not the same. I feel like I'm 85 inside. But you know what? I appreciate the compliment. I think it's my parents. I lost my mom several years ago, and she was very active, like my dad. My dad's 88. He's going to be 89 in a few months, but he keeps active. He's always positive. He's that type of guy, like always smiling. Nothing ever gets him down. He's never negative. And he's always socializing. He's always with his friends or family members, and he's always doing things, keeping his body moving, keeping his mind sharp. And that goes a long way in life. Like you gotta use it or you'll lose it, is what they say. And I think I've taken that under my wing and I've run with it. And I love what I do as well. I love this stuff. I love doing radio. I love doing TV, and I love talking about the things, whether it's entertainment or sports or, lifestyle, whatever. I just, I love doing it. So if you love doing your gig, I don't think it ever ages you. And I don't think you ever work a day in your life if you really love doing the gig that's in your career.
True enough. I think there's a lot to that where, it's easy enough to get stuck in, the stress or the anxiety of things that's going on.
Yeah.
It's tough to kind of find a way out of that when it's like an everyday thing, but
I never let it get me down.
Work on that.
You do. And I'd never let any situation get too stressful. And I'm finding that easier as I'm getting older. I'm going to be 55 in a couple months. And it's like the stress, you can't let it get to you. What's stress? There's no stress. Like for me, back in the day, maybe like when I was first starting out, you want to be perfect. You want to impress your bosses and, you want to keep your job, you know, because stress, I think, came into play more back in the day. But as I get older, it's like, no, there shouldn't be any such thing as stress, because stress is just going to kill us inside. Stress is not good for your heart. Stress is not good for our mental state. And so I just sort of block it out. Yeah, I really do. I don't know how I do it, but
good on you, man.
Yeah, I try. Yeah, thanks, man. Thank you. Yeah,
that's a good thing to. That's a good. Yeah, if you're able to do it, that's awesome. I know it takes some work. Like I find myself sometimes, you know, there's moments where it's hard to kind of get your head out of the gutter.
It is, Brandon, and I always say, like, there's always tomorrow. There's always a light at the end of the tunnel. You know, things are going to get better. Like I do tend to tell myself stuff like that too. These little motivational talks that I'll have within myself. But no matter what I'm dealing with in life, somebody out there is dealing with a lot worse of a situation, you know, True. And that's always going to be the case. And I think about that person. I pray for that person, hoping that things turn around for them, you know? So, whatever we're going through, someone else is going through something 10 times as much.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. And I seen you made a post today. So you're doing that 90s mix thing?
Yes.
So what's that?
90s dance. It's a 90s dance tour. And we're bringing on the road with us Two Unlimited, Hadaway, Fab from Milli Vanilli, and Technotronic, Daisy D from Technotronic. And who else are we bringing on? I should know this. Anyhow, we're bringing on five artists.
I seen those artists and I was just like, my wife would love this.
Yeah. Well, it's the age of music that I grew up listening to and dancing to. And so I was approached by a promoter to be part of the tour. And I love it. I love doing stuff like that. I think, right, we're coming to Edmonton.
I was going to say, I see that you're coming here.
Yeah, we're coming to Edmonton late in January, I believe. Yeah, we're starting in Calgary and we're ending in Edmonton. Yeah. Calgary, then further out west to BC, and then making our way back in. But it's going to be a ton of fun. It's 8 shows out west, and I love doing stuff like that. I really do. Meeting the people that grew up watching much, meeting the fans of these bands, and enjoying the night with them, dancing, singing, whatever we're going to be doing. But yeah, it's an honor to be involved with a 90s dance tour. I'm excited.
Oh yeah. And it was funny. I was like, oh, Rick's coming to Edmonton. I was like, this like times out perfectly.
Yeah, it does, man. Yeah. You should come to the show. Bring your wife if she's into the 90s dance. Yeah. It'll be a ton of fun.
I'm like, Rick Campanelli's going to be there. Let's go. Be a good time. Yeah. Cause I'm trying to remember where that is. Is that at the,
I should know the venue that's at. Too. I'm not sure.
I kind of forgot where the venue is, but I'm going to take a look at that after. Yeah. Because we'll look at going for sure.
All these popular dance acts from the 90s are still doing their thing. You know, rock acts are still doing their thing. Pop acts, like there's so many artists that are still doing it and did it 30 years ago. There's this resurgence. It's very nostalgic, you know, and people love that. It brings a lot of warm fuzzies, right? You hear this band, you see this band, and your mind just goes automatically. It just goes back.
Oh, it just goes back. Yeah, 100%.
The first time you saw them, or the first time you heard that song, it's like it's a magical feeling, and I think people are realizing there's a lot of that going on these days.
I think nostalgia is very big right now. It's crazy.
It is. It really is. It's The young ones don't care too much for it because they're not there yet. But the older ones that have been at it for years, it's a special feeling. It makes us feel so young again. It really does.
It does, yeah. And it's cool because I guess when you're a kid, you see these older bands and you're just like, you don't think much of it. But then when you're getting older and you're like, oh my God, they're still doing it? That's awesome.
Still doing
it for them.
I just saw a post someone posted of an 80s. There's an 80s tour going on right now with Honeymoon Suite, Men Without Hats. What else was on there?
An
Glass
80s
Tiger,
tour.
maybe?
That's crazy.
Yeah. The 80s rock bands are going around doing it. It's amazing. And why not? Awesome. God bless them if they can still do it. Yeah, I love it.
Everyone's got their favorite era, right?
Yeah. The 80s and 90s for me, man, like that's when I was really living music. Like I was eating, breathing, and sleeping music. Those are my decades. Born in the 70s, but really got into it in the 80s and the 90s for sure.
Yeah, I think, I don't know, music really grabbed a hold of me when I was like 12, and I never let go. And it's just, it's my therapy. Yeah. It's everything. Oh, yeah. Music is so important, man. Like,
you said it right there. It is therapy. It's like, it's the universal language. Music, like all cultures, all countries, all backgrounds know music, and it is therapy. It makes us move. It makes us smile. It gives us good feelings. It gives us great memories. But yeah, music is so important and crucial in our lives.
No matter what you're going through, there's a song or a band for like every emotion you're feeling that you just go to. It's like, it heals you. It makes you feel better.
I agree 100%.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing.
Are you in a band yourself?
I am. We don't do as much as we used to, but yeah. And that was the joy of, I really enjoyed that, was getting to write songs. Like that was a big form of therapy, was I would let these feelings out in lyrics or in music, and I would feel so much better.
That's amazing. That's a super talent, man. Like I could never do that. That's, I never put my mind to that sort of thing, songwriting, but that's a special talent.
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate that. No, it's like I said, for me, it's just a form of therapy. Like it just helps me out every day. Yeah. So definitely got to utilize it.
Most definitely. I agree.
Yeah, man. And I won't keep you much longer, Rick. I know you got your stuff going on. If you don't mind just hanging around after I hit stop here, we'll just chat before you go.
For sure.
But we got to do another one.
We will do another one. Most definitely, man. We'll do another one. I've got some other things coming up that I want to share with you. And most definitely, maybe we'll do it after the 90s tour. Let's do it. February or March. Hopefully by that time I'll be able to talk about the news, and we'll have met hopefully in Edmonton, towards the end of January. So let's definitely do another one. I promise. Yeah.
Okay. I am holding you to it, and I know you won't let me down, man.
No way. No. I love good conversation. Yeah.
Oh, me too, man. And it was a joy chatting with you. If I could tell like 14-year-old me that I was going to chat with Rick Campanelli.
Oh, man.
Tell me to get the hell out of here.
Did you ever come to Much Music back in the day?
No, like I've never been to Toronto.
Okay.
Unfortunately, but Much was my life growing up, man. I loved it.
You would have loved it, man. You would have loved coming down, looking in the windows.
Oh, I know. I always wanted to do that. Check out those live ones. Oh, it'd be the
man. It was such a magical place. And I just found out next week, one of the TV networks, CP24, are moving out of that building. They're slowly moving all the broadcasts out of that building because it will no longer be a place for television. I think they're turning it into either condos or what have you. But it's sad. It's a sad day.
It really
is. When TV productions start leaving 299, it was a sad day when Much came to an end, but now you're having all the produced TV that's in that building leaving as well. So it's just gonna be another regular building. It's a historic landmark, but there's not gonna be any more TV broadcast throughout that building, which is kind of sad.
It's a bummer. That's too bad. I guess these things happen, but it sucks.
I know it does.
Awesome.
If they do turn it into condos, I'll have to buy a unit.
Do it.
I'll call it the Strombo suite.
Nice. There you go. Yeah. George will love that one.
I have to buy a piece of it. That building that played such a vital role in my career. That's for sure.
Oh yeah, I don't blame you on that, man. I'd do the same thing.
Maybe I'll get all the other VJs together. We'll all pitch in because
just chip in, like a timeshare.
I gotta think this through a little better. Yeah, it's damn expensive.
yeah, for sure. Oh God. Well, it was a pleasure, Rick, and yeah, we'll chat again soon.
Pleasure was mine, Brandon. Thank you.
Do my best, and we'll come see you when you come to Edmonton, man.
Sounds good, man. Looking forward to it.
Awesome. Thanks, Rick. You're the best.